Hey out there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cherie, and as promised, I'm coming to you with a part 3 of my breast cancer scare journey. But before we get started, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Please press that bell notification so every time I drop a video, you will be the first one to know. So let's get right into it. So the last thing that I left off with was that I had a biopsy done on my right breast. I had calcification accompanied with a mass. So they needed to do a biopsy because they needed to see if I had breast cancer. So I'm going to just take you along on this journey where I had to wait for my results. It was not an easy journey at all. It was very nerve-wracking, to say the least. And like I said in previous videos, I suffer from anxiety. So I definitely was Googling. I definitely was self-diagnosing myself. I was going on YouTube. I was just trying to figure out what it was that I had, which was very, very bad, because no one should do that, because the only thing you do is just make yourself even more of a wreck, right? So fast forward, March 21st is when I received my results. I was at work, and I want to say approximately around 2 o'clock, I looked into my portal. So now the way my portal works is that if there are new results coming in, the old results will disappear. I don't know why it does that, but that's what my portal does. So when I went into my portal, I saw that my old results and my portal was no longer there. So I knew for sure that my results were in. It just did not hit the portal yet. And sure enough, I got a phone call from the doctor that performed the biopsy, and he proceeded to tell me what I was diagnosed with. So of course my mind was racing. I was extremely scared. I proceeded to start crying immediately. I don't think I heard anything that he was saying. I just heard the 2 breast conditions that I never heard about. And when you're diagnosed with a breast condition, the only thing you're thinking of is cancer, even though I think he said maybe 3 or 4 times that these were non-breast cancer conditions. But of course I did not hear that. So he proceeded to tell me exactly what it is that I needed to do, and that was that, right? So let's get into what I was actually diagnosed with. So one of the breast conditions that I was diagnosed with was uterine ductal hyperplasia, and the second one that I was diagnosed with, which was the mass, I believe, was intraductal papilloma. Right, so I'm definitely going to get into talking about all of that. For a disclaimer, I am not a doctor. Anything and any information that I am putting out there was because I did my research and I educated myself. So if you have any questions about anything that you have going on as far as health goes, please reach out to your doctor so you can get the information that you definitely need, or you can just advocate for yourself or do the research that you need to do. Right, so let's get right into it. So if you see me looking over here at my notes, it's because it's been a while and I just want to make sure that I give all the information that I possibly can give. So let's talk about uterine ductal hyperplasia. That was my first breast condition that I was diagnosed with. So uterine ductal hyperplasia is an overgrown of cells lining in the duct in the breast, but the cells look very close to normal and it is benign. So basically, for what I researched, is that you have cells that's inside your breast, and mine it looks normal on the biopsy, and it's just growing very fast, but they're normal breast cells. They're just growing very fast. So this is the reason why it's very important for you to do mammograms, and if they tell you that you need to do a biopsy, you have to do it, because there's no way for you to know that you have this breast condition without having a biopsy done, and for starters, just having a mammogram done. So there is no symptoms. You will not ever be able to know that you have this breast condition, right? So my second condition that I was diagnosed with was intraductal papilloma, right? So let's get into that. So intraductal papilloma is a small non-cancerous tumor that grows in the milk duct of the breast. However, 17% has been shown to be cancerous upon complete removal of the growth. In addition, about 20% of the intraductal papilloma contains abnormal cells, and we're going to get into that, abnormal cells. Because there is a small risk of cancer, papilloma should be surgically removed and biopsy to make sure that you do not have DCIS, which is stage 0 breast cancer, right? So papilloma is, like they said, it's just a growth. Sometimes you can have more than one. Sometimes it could be in both breasts. But you, once again, will not know that you do have a papilloma in your breast unless you, one, have a mammogram done, and two, have the biopsy done, right? So with this condition, it's a hit and miss when it comes to having any type of symptoms, right? So I did not have any symptoms, but one or two of the symptoms are you have pain in your breast, you either have a clear discharge or a bloody discharge coming out of your nipple area, right? So once you see that, I think a lot of people would just assume that they have breast cancer, and this is a non-breast cancer condition, right? So that's why it's very important for you just to get your mammograms and do the checkups that you definitely need to do, because I did not have any symptoms at all. So if I never would have did my mammogram, I just would have went through life not even knowing that I had both of these breast conditions, right? So the third thing that I wanted to talk about was atypical hyperplasia, which I had usual ductal hyperplasia, and this is atypical ductal hyperplasia, right? So the atypical ductal hyperplasia is a precancerous condition that affects the cells in the breast, and is also a benign breast condition. But you're at higher risk of developing breast cancer, and you should have those cells removed so they can do another biopsy to make sure that you do not have invasive cancer, right? So what atypical hyperplasia is, once again, is cells that we have in our breast that are growing, but these cells are just showing that you have precancerous cells. So my cells were normal, but they were overgrowing, which is not precancerous cells, and atypical is precancerous cells, and you definitely do have to have this removed so that you will not develop breast cancer later on in life. I do not know the numbers or the percentage of people that will develop breast cancer later on in life if they do have atypical hyperplasia, but I know that they say that you will eventually develop it if you do not remove those precancerous cells, right? So I definitely had these two breast conditions, and I needed to see a surgeon. I needed to see a surgeon because of the intraductal papilloma, not because of the hyperplasia, right? So when I was talking to the surgeon, the doctor that did the biopsy, I immediately just asked him with no, like, let's just get this out of the way, because that's the type of person that I am. Can you recommend me to a surgeon? And he said first he needed to send my results over to my primary care doctor, and he needed to basically, like, for me to have a conversation with my primary care doctor. And I told him that that was fine. You could send the results over to him, but at the end of the day, he is not a cancer specialist. He is not a cancer surgeon. And yes, my doctor is amazing. He has saved my life in many ways, but I needed to get the ball rolling. So because he deals with biopsies with breasts all the time, I knew he knew surgeons that I can immediately get in touch with. And so he did give me the number to a surgeon, and he sent over my results to them so that they can have it. So with time that I called them and made an appointment, we got the ball on the roll. So as soon as me and him got off the phone, mind you, I was still at work, but I had to do what I had to do. I immediately called the surgeon office, and by my surprise, they had an appointment on the 26th, I believe, and it was at 3 o'clock, and I was like, I'll take it, because at this point I needed to figure out what it is I was going to do. Some people do not remove their intraductal papilloma. Some people keep it in, and some doctors just monitor it and see what's going on, and some people just opt to just remove it. I was one of those people that I made up in my mind, whether he said that I had to remove it or not, that I was going to remove it, because I did not want to go through life knowing that something was inside my body that, first of all, doesn't belong there, and two, I didn't even know if I had DCIS under the papilloma that they needed to biopsy to see if I had that, right? So I still was not out the clear. So for me, I felt like that needed to be done. So fast forward, I went to my appointment to meet up with the surgeon. He was really, really great. The facility was really, really great. The people were nice, and he just really broke everything down to me. And he even said that he recommended me to do the surgery. Now, he definitely asked me a lot of questions because he needed to know if I had breast cancer in my family, on my mother and my father's side. And because I really don't know too much about my father's side, I really couldn't answer too many questions about that. But on my mom's side, there is no breast cancer. So he told me that I had 90% chance of not having DCIS. But that 10% was still lingering around because, like I said, I don't really know too much about my father's side, right? So we opted to do the surgery. So fast forward, my surgery date was May 3rd, 2023. And I want to say leading up to that date, I was not nervous. I was perfectly fine. I didn't even really think about it. I think in my mind, I was just so happy to know what was going on and to get the show on the road and to move on with my life, because my life was literally at a standstill and I could not push myself to do anything else because it was just so focused on these results and the biopsy and if I had cancer, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So I really was not nervous. I couldn't say that I really was. I just wanted to get the show on the road. So fast forward May 3rd, I went into the hospital to have the procedure. The procedure is an outpatient procedure. I think the procedure took like 30 minutes. He came in and he spoke to me and told me exactly what was going to be done. The anesthesiologist came in, and because I did my research, I knew that I did not have to go under anesthesia, but of course he was pushing for me to go under anesthesia. So let me just say this, I do not like going under anesthesia. If I cannot go under anesthesia, please sign me up for it. I will stay up, just sedate me. I don't care. I have a high tolerance of pain, and I just put in my mind, like, whatever has to be done is going to be done. If I have to go under anesthesia, that's fine, but if I have an option, please, I do not want to go under anesthesia. So when the anesthesiologist came in, I immediately told him that I did my research and I knew that I did not have to go under anesthesia. So he called the surgeon back, and the surgeon was saying that he really wasn't comfortable with me not going under anesthesia because, you know, he didn't want me to be jumping or in so much pain, and he had to keep shooting like Novocaine, I believe it is, or whatever it is that numbs the breast. You know, he didn't want to have to keep doing that. And I just was like, I am not going to be in any pain. Trust me, I have a high tolerance of pain. Let's just do it. But the thing was is that my surgeon have never performed this type of procedure with someone being awake. So I was actually the first patient that he performed this procedure on. So when the anesthesiologist was just explaining to me that what was going to be done, I just said, you know, I opted to not go under anesthesia, and that's exactly what happened. So let me get into that situation. So me not going under anesthesia was perfectly fine. Like I said, I don't have a problem with pain. They willed me in. The only thing I can remember is that I was just really hungry because, you know, you cannot eat. I think the latest you can eat is 12 o'clock midnight. And if I knew that they was just going to allow me to do what I wanted to do, then I would be able to eat because I was not going under anesthesia. But because I did not know what they were going to allow me to do, I stopped eating at 12. And I was just starving. I was so hungry. And not only that, my surgery was delayed. So because my surgery was delayed, I was pissed. I was pissed. So my surgery was supposed to start at 10 o'clock. My surgery didn't start until 12:30. So the anesthesiologist came in with the nurse. I was rolled into the operating room. I sat on top of the table, and they proceeded to put a sheet over me because I was going to be awake, and I guess they did not want to see exactly what they were going to be doing, right? So initially, when they first started, I felt a pinch in my boob, just like I felt the initial pinch when I did the biopsy. And then I felt them cut me because obviously the pain medication did not kick in yet. And then I said, ow, and then the nurse said, okay, we're going to give you another dose. And I was like, okay, no problem. She gave me another dose, and then they sedated me. And when they sedated me, I just kind of felt like I was floating on air. I was just like drowsy, but I was not sleepy. My eyes was wide awake, and I still could hear the conversations that they were having amongst each other. The nurse pulled the sheet back over me, and she thought that I went into shock. And I said, no, I'm still here. I'm fine. And she said, okay, no problem. The procedure lasted less than 30 minutes. I kid you not. The procedure lasted less than 30 minutes. And afterwards, they all started clapping because this was the first time they ever performed this procedure on a patient awake. So they were so happy. They were just like, you know, through the roof. And this is the reason why I say to advocate for yourself, because at the end of the day, if you're not comfortable with doing something and you know that you have other options, then you can speak up for yourself and say, hey, I'm not comfortable with this, and I know that there's other options, so you can't tell me that there ain't. So this is the reason why I always say that, because he was not comfortable with doing it at the end of the day, and he was just going to sell me whatever he was going to sell me by telling me I had no choice but to go under anesthesia, when I knew that I had a choice and I did not have to go under anesthesia. So please advocate for yourself out there. So then after that had happened or whatever, I was rolled into the recovery. They took my blood pressure. They took my temperature. They said that I had to, like, you know, rest a little bit. And they explained to me the care that I would needed to do. I needed to put ice packs on my boob because, you know, you're going to be in pain after that medication wear off. And by the time it was time for me to leave, that's when the sedation medication she gave me kicked in, and I was now wanting to go to sleep. And they was like, listen, you have to leave. So eventually I just shook it off, and I got up, I got dressed. They put me in a wheelchair, and they wheeled me out. So I'm just going to go through the pain levels that I felt. So the first day, I really did not feel any pain. I took a Tylenol when I got home because that's what they told me to do. The next day, I was a little discomfort, but it wasn't anything major. It was more or less like shooting pain through my boob, like somebody was like electrocuting me. It was not a comfortable feeling, but it was not excruciating pain, right? So by the third day, I was still icing, but I was not in any pain. And I have actually a video on my YouTube channel where it's like the third or fourth day after my surgery, and I'm like dancing and I'm just like having a good time. And I think I was really at the most happiest moment that I could have really ever been in, because that was over. It was over. And I don't even want to get emotional, but I know that for me, I will never be the same after that experience. I know for me that I will always think twice about when I have to get a mammogram, but I will absolutely do it. I know that I'll still be scared. I know that I will still be nervous. I think that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Not that I didn't care about it before, but it means so much to me now because I went through that experience. And I feel like I had to go through that because maybe I needed to share my journey with other women that have no clue, like I didn't have any clue, or just go by the textbook information that's out there. I remember when I was going through my journey of trying to find about the situation of breast cancer, and I remember, this is gonna sound crazy, but I called the breast cancer hotline that's out there, and I'll definitely drop the information below on there. And I talked to this lady. She was really nice, and I just explained to her that I was really nervous and I have anxiety and I'm not diagnosed with cancer as of yet, but I'm just freaking out. And she was like, there's no problem. I explained to her exactly what I had, and she told me that yes, you needed to have it removed because they do not know if it's DCIS, right, which is stage 0 breast cancer. So me and her got to talking, and the first thing she said to me is that she was going to give me information for grants and loans out there, and doctors that will work with people that have breast cancer for free, because a lot of insurance companies do not, I repeat, pay for it. They do not pay for it. So she asked me, was my insurance going to pay for my biopsy? And I thought to myself, one, they already paid for it. Two, I said, what insurance company does not pay for your biopsy? My mind was taken, I was taken back, to be honest with you. And she said, there's a lot of health insurances out there that do not pay for biopsies. And I thought to myself, this is the reason why so many women are dying for breast cancer, because they do not have the money to even get a biopsy, and insurance is not going to pay for it. So if insurance is not going to pay for the biopsy that they're telling you that you have to get, not the insurance, but if your insurance is not going to pay for the biopsy that the doctor is telling you that you have to get, and you do not have, I don't know how much it costs, let's throw out a number, $500 or $700 laying around to do that, you just take it to yourself to say, you know what, it is what it is, because you don't have it. You don't even know that there's grants out there that pays for that, because you just think to yourself, like I did, that my insurance should pay for that. So I definitely going to put in the description box below the information of the hotline that I called. I'm definitely going to put the name of the organization out there that deals with breast cancer, and they have the grants out there, and for those women that their insurance do not pay for the breast cancer, you do not no longer have to worry about things like that, because there are help. It is help out there. There are grants out there that can help us along the way. So please just do the research. Be your advocate for yourself at any given time. That's just definitely my message with this video. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little choked up, because we don't have to die from this. We can catch it early. We can save ourselves. We can save other people if we just get the information that we need and pass it along. That's all I can say. So on that note, I'm going to close out this video. Please stay blessed and highly favored, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks. Have a good one.